Hello everyone, this is my Atlanta Falcons 7-round NFL mock draft using PFF simulator. A few quick notes. First, this is not a simulation of what I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to do. Rather, this is what I would do if I were the GM. And I'm just trying to illustrate my idea on team building and if the Falcons walk away with anywhere near this, or trying to illustrate something that you can see that if the Falcons get something similar, that this is what I think would really help them. Okay, now let's jump right in. And number 16 overall, I took Grant Delpit, safety, LSU. Why did I do that? Because the Falcons really need coverage. They have Keanu Neal as a good box safety, a good strong safety, but they don't really have a free safety. They need cornerbacks really a lot as well. Here, I think C.J. Henderson, Christian Fulton, and of course Okudah, I think they're all gone at this point. And there was some good wide receivers available here as well, but I didn't want to take them quite this early. They still have obviously Julio Jones, who's amazing, and Calvin Ridley's above average, of course. So it wasn't a dire need to take wide receiver. I felt like secondary help, corner was really important, but I didn't see the value there. So I took the best safety prospect in this draft, I think, or close to it, with Grant Delpit. And what I like about him, there's a lot to like. He has great range, great instincts. He's going to be good coming up in the box. He's going to be good in coverage. He has great size, speed combination. His instincts look really good. The main issue that everyone harps on, because it is a fairly big issue, is the missed tackles that will result in a lot of extra yards, sometimes a touchdown for the opposing team because he misses a tackle and he's the last defender. So that's certainly something that's not good, but here I think he's the best person to take with in that situation in the context of what's available. Moving on, at 47, I took Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle, University of Missouri. I took him here because I think he's really great value. I see him as a top 50 player in this draft, and at 47, there wasn't a wide receiver, there wasn't a cornerback, there wasn't a... those are the two main positions I was looking at, and there wasn't anyone else of value there. I didn't feel good with a linebacker, a tight end. They just got Hayden Hurst. So, and I don't see a top 50 tight end in this draft either. So I think Elliott would really help their pass rush a lot. They have Grady Jarrett, of course, who's really good. But besides Grady Jarrett, I really see no other talent, not talent, but no other real depth. So I think Elliott could really help a lot. He's a good pass rusher. And what I think about him and what I like about him is that he's not one of those guys like Kawan Short who just pops off the ball, shoots off like a cannon right into the offensive line. He kind of stands up, and he has kind of what I like to say, like this delayed swim. He stands up, he does a bit of like hand fighting, and then boom, he pops through the line. So it's kind of not a strange style, but it's certainly an interesting style. So that's why I think some other media types and everyone, why they're a lot lower on him, is that he doesn't just pop off the ball. He like kind of stands up, and he has this delayed kind of reaction to things. Not to say he's slow in any regard, but he pops up. He kind of like he fights, and then boom, all of a sudden he's shooting past the guard or tackle, and he's pressuring quarterback. So it looks stylistically a little strange. The risk is the risk, I guess, is that you look at the combine numbers and he doesn't have a strong broad jump. He doesn't have the explosive numbers that you would like from a DT, so that's the risk. But I think he makes up for it in great hand usage. He has great size. His 40 was decent, for a DT. So, okay. Next, we have number 78. I took Tyler Johnson, wide receiver, University of Minnesota. He's one of my favorite players in this draft, along with Jordan Elliott. I've watched at least 3 or 4 games of his on YouTube, every snap of the game, and he just gets open. He doesn't stack he doesn't stack cornerbacks. He doesn't really blow by them. That's not his game. But the intermediate routes and down the field, in the middle of the field, he can certainly, the safeties and stuff, he can get separation there. It's just if you're running fades with him against NFL caliber cornerbacks, he's not going to stack them. He's not going to get beyond them very much. But beyond that, I really love his game. I think he's a really excellent route runner. You can use him in the slot. You can use him outside. He just picks up first downs consistently. And even though he's not the fastest guy in the world, he still has explosive plays. He's still 20, 30-yard plays, 50-yard touchdowns. He just produces, and I think it's his route running, his craftiness. Now, there is some risk in that I'm not sure what the personality, not complaints, but the personality risks are there. But I watched an interview with Austin Gale and Tyler Johnson from PFF. And after that interview, I did understand why some GMs would be leery about the guy, because when Austin asked him some questions, or a lot of the questions, he didn't really answer them directly, and it was just kind of head scratching the way that he answered them. And so from that, you can be like, well, he doesn't seem like he's a dumb guy or a bad guy, but just it's a little off-putting or a little awkward, I guess is maybe the best word, his answers. So you're like, that's kind of weird. But taking him at 78, I think there's tremendous value even with that risk involved. I think he does understand the position and that route running is really important, and he does that very well. So that's why I feel confident that he has a good chance of becoming a pretty good player. Moving on, at 119, I took another wide receiver, Antonio Gandy Golden from Liberty University. Now, this was a bit of a mistake on my part. I literally forgot that I just took Tyler Johnson, and then I took him again, or another wide receiver. So I'm not the happiest with the pick, but I think for 119 in this draft, there was no cornerbacks that I like. There just really wasn't hardly any other value that I saw. And Julio Jones is 31 years old already. All they have is Calvin Ridley, who's a solid option, but not a number one. And I think even more of a slot guy. So doubling up on wide receiver here, it's not the worst idea in the world. Gandy Golden, he's a 6'4", 220 guy. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but the good things about him, he looks like he has a pretty good release off the line, so press coverage he can at least handle averagely, or maybe a bit above averagely. He's another guy that's not going to stack wide receivers. He's really good, I noticed, at any of the in-cutting routes, like digs, slants, not crosses, but post routes. Any of those type of routes, I think he's going to be a plus player because of his size, his ability. He has the quicks to kind of inside leverage the cornerback and gain that leverage on the inside. Just on the outside, he's not great. So, and he comes from a gymnastic background, so I always like players that, especially at skill positions, that have played another sport. I think that just adds something to that player that you can't necessarily account for. Okay, and let's wrap this up pretty quick. At 143, I took Reggie Robinson, the second cornerback, Tulsa University. I really need to take a cornerback. Falcons, they need secondary help. I like him for that range, he's the best man corner prospect that I saw. He has really good size speed combination. His tape looked solid. He wasn't great, but that's why he's going 143 in this draft instead of like if his production was amazing and he had really good technique, then he would be like a first round prospect, I think, with his size speed combination. He needs to work on those things. Will he get there? I have no idea. This is the 143rd pick of this draft. At that spot, I think he's good value, and he certainly fits a need. The Falcons need coverage. Finally, at 228, I took Josh Love, San Jose State quarterback. I really did not like any of the prospects available anywhere that were left here. So I took him. He's one of a handful of later round quarterbacks that I love in this draft that I think have a real shot at being an Andy Dalton or maybe even a little better. I'm not saying that he's going to become that kind of player or is that style of quarterback, but I mean just grade-wise, competency level, a starting NFL caliber quarterback. I believe in him a lot stronger than even someone like a Jordan Love in this draft. And at 228, Matt Ryan is already 34 years old. I haven't paid a ton of attention to him, so I don't know if he's been slipping these past couple of years. I think he'll still have solid play for at least the next couple of years. But Love at this point, flipping him for a future pick or Matt Ryan injury insurance, I think it's too much value to pass up at this point. Okay, well that went a little longer than I expected. I want to try and keep these to about 10 minutes or less. But thank you very much for listening. I hope that gave you some insight into a draft that could really help the Falcons a lot. And thank you very much if you stayed the entire way. Hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.